I know this is a difficult topic to talk about. I know that so many of us hoped by electing our first black president, we had turned the page on this chapter in our history. I know there are truths we don't like to say out loud or discuss with our children, but we have to. That's the only way we can possibly move forward together.
All right, folks, hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. Welcome aboard, and we kick it off with my friend Bill Kristol, founder and editor of the Weekly Standard, ABC News contributor, and of course it's weeklystandard.com. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing well. Well, there's Hillary, and you have called her on a couple of occasions now the not-so-inevitable Hillary, or at least raised that possibility. What do you make of how she has taken this horrific occurrence in South Carolina and run with it on race and guns?
Yeah, you just listen to that clip, and I guess maybe I'm just totally out of touch with America. I listen to that, and I hear an annoying kind of Schoolmarm sort of tone of substanceless. You know, whether there's some things we just we know there's some things we don't discuss with our children. What's she talking about? I talk to our kids about the history of race relations in America. I don't think most Americans are unaware of that history and of the present situation and all of its complexity. And part of that complexity are things like reverse discrimination and affirmative action, as well as obviously continuing problems for the black community and the legacy of segregation and slavery. So I think she's posturing and, you know, in that annoyingly superior way she does, without saying anything risky, of course, without offending anyone who might actually be part of the Democratic coalition.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think it's very condescending to people who do raise their children correctly and do have these conversations. And I find it also interesting, and some people have said, well, you know, this was a long time ago, but she's running for president. Bill Clinton was president, and he was also governor of Arkansas. And he not only flew the Confederate flag, he signed Confederate Flag Day into law when he was governor of Arkansas. I think Hillary might have, you know, should be facing questions on that.
Yeah, you know, maybe, right. Well, they did what was politically expedient at the time. And I'm myself not in favor of flying the Confederate flag if I were a citizen of one of those states on the state capitol grounds. I do think it's a mistake. I don't think it causes murder necessarily. Obviously, millions of South Carolinians live peaceful, law-abiding lives. The people of South Carolina who are flying on whose state capitol grounds that flag flies have elected a black United States Senator, Tim Scott, and an Indian American governor. So they're not exactly a bigoted bunch of people. Having said that, I think I would personally vote if I were a South Carolina legislator, I think, to remove the flag there. But you're right. And what about the Clinton Foundation? You know, what is taking money? The Saudi government. They take money from the Saudi government. Is there a government in the world today, I mean, with a couple of exceptions, that's closer in spirit to endorsement of slavery and discrimination and all kinds of other things that we find pretty abhorrent? Now, look, we have to deal with them. They're a government, and that's part of foreign policy. But did the Clinton Foundation have to take millions of dollars from them?
Good, that's another excellent point. Okay, and of course, Lindsey Graham and the governor of South Carolina both calling for the flag to be removed. And let me ask you this. I don't know if you've heard the president today or not. This was yesterday on some kind of podcast called WTF. And we know what that means. I mean, if I'm president of the United States, I don't go on a podcast that's called WTF to begin with. But he did, and here's some of what he had to say.
Racism, we are not cured of.
Clearly.
And it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say nigger in public. That's not the measure of whether racism still exists or not. It's not just a matter of overt discrimination.
All right, so what's your take on the first black president of the United States choosing this time, on the heels of a church shooting where a white bigot shot up a black church and killed all those people, the first day of what could be a long, hot summer, the first black president of the United States goes on this WTF show and utters the N-word?
Well, I don't know. I'm not in the business of censoring what other people say. If he wants to use that word as an illustration of his point, he's obviously not using it in a pejorative way, so I guess it's fine. But again, is there discrimination? Sure, but what's his point? He's been president for 6 years. He has the ability to propose legislation. I don't think he's proposed much race-related legislation that it hasn't been passed. I mean, it's not as if racial discrimination isn't forbidden. It's not as if college campuses and businesses don't go out of their way, sometimes too far, in my opinion, to curb free speech when they think it's in any way inflammatory or discriminatory against African Americans or other minorities. So I don't know what his. Again, it strikes me as a little bit like Hillary Clinton. There's an awful lot of people going around, clucking and trying to say things that they think will position them in a good way, as opposed to actually saying what policies they're for and what policies they're against.
Let me ask you. Let's get back to Hillary. There's more polls out today that show her deteriorating even further when it comes to trustworthiness and all that stuff. Bernie Sanders, as you pointed out in your piece, not so inevitable. Hillary with a question mark. Closing the gap in New Hampshire. It's moving her to the left, obviously. But, I mean, is she in danger of really faltering and being run out of the race before she's the nominee?
Yeah, I don't think it's likely. You still have to bet on her. But I think there's a non-trivial chance. It's not like 2%. It's not 50%, but maybe there's a 20% chance, 30% that she's not the nominee. I just think she's a weak candidate. There are a lot of younger, aggressive Democrats who are to her left, or she's now moved to the left, but no one thinks she's sincere. And she did vote for the Iraq War, which they're against. Her husband did the banking deregulation, Glass-Steagall, which they're against. She's for the trade deals, which they're against, the left against. So why shouldn't the left just nominate someone on the left instead of bending to and accepting Hillary? So I think she's at risk. I don't think Bernie Sanders probably ultimately is the person who beats her, but he certainly is airing those issues pretty effectively. And he's obviously hit a nerve, and if you're Elizabeth Warren, you've got to be looking up and thinking, gee, if Bernie Sanders can do this, what could I do?
Right, and you said 20 to 30% kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, by the way, I don't want to throw you a curve here, but there's a new list out. Newsmax has its top 75 Jewish Republican list that's out today, and you, sir, are number 2 on that list, behind Sheldon Adelson. Just, I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well, I'm honored. I wish I were number 2 behind him, and other kind of other rankings.
You wish you were number 2. Number 2 behind who?
Behind Sheldon Adelson, and in other respects, like in terms of right. Maybe I could have half. I think he deserves twice as much money as I do. So I could have half the casinos.
There you go. Absolutely.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you, flattered.
You're welcome. Well, you can thank Chris Ruddy and the folks at Newsmax also. Bill, always great to talk to you, sir. Have a great day. We'll speak to you soon.
Good to be well.
All right, take care. Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen. No, it's very. I think he made a lot of good points, and he doesn't seem bothered by the use of the N-word by the president, which is his right and his take. But again, he's right. The president's the president. The president. Where's the legislation he's proposed to help end discrimination or the discrimination he perceives as a problem? Where's him doing anything? Where has he ever done anything? To be honest with you, except have his EPA. Infringe upon, declare this and declare that, and gone to the U.S. Supreme Court 13 times and lost in unanimous decisions because their arguments are unconstitutional, signed executive orders which many believe are unconstitutional, passed Obamacare with that one Republican vote. Anyway, and I like what Bill said about, interesting, Hillary's annoying schoolmarm tone, which lacked any substance, lecturing on race and lecturing on guns. All right, folks. Up next, White House correspondent John Gizzi. But first, Newsmax wants to send one lucky couple on a 7-day Silver Sea cruise to the Caribbean this winter. What a trip that's going to be. And this luxury cruise aboard the Silver Wind is the trip of a lifetime. To win, you need to enter our sweepstakes. Visit newsmax.com/sweepstakes to enter. That's newsmax.com/sweepstakes. You got to enter to be eligible, so do it now, and good luck to you.